From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, authorities are investigating a collision on Green Lake in Dedham between a boat and a jet ski. We'll have those details coming up.
Plus, with the Together Place closing its doors, many unhoused individuals are now seeking alternate places to cool off this summer.
And Maine's credit unions are helping those facing food insecurity. We'll bring you that story as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll have those stories and more coming up. Happy Friday, everyone.
Yes, happy Friday.
Yes, everybody loves a good Friday.
We do.
We're going to kick things off, though, with a check of the forecast. And it looks like, unfortunately, this will be the better of the next few days, weather-wise.
It does. This weekend, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be getting some rain.
Yeah, I know we sound like a broken record. We could certainly use the rain,
We
but
could,
you know,
but
the timing is not
on
good.
the weekend.
Yeah, right?
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have heat advisories posted, and those will expire at around 6 o'clock tonight. We will have hot temperatures today and feels like temperatures that will get even hotter than that. We'll have hot temperatures in the 90s today, and then heat index values that will be a few degrees warmer than that. As we check out the radar and satellite this morning, just some clouds passing through. We will be watching for showers and even some thunderstorms that will be developing today. As we do zoom things out, not a whole lot going on at this point, just some energy that will be tracking in from the southwest and going toward the north and east throughout the daytime period today. Futurecast showing some development coming up later on this morning and parts of the afternoon, more so as we head towards the afternoon. Later on tonight, we'll watch for some more development, and especially as we head towards your Saturday. Alrighty, for today, so we'll have a chance for thunderstorms. Otherwise, partly cloudy, low 90s for the high, and it will feel warmer than that with that west wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast pushing forward. All right, partly cloudy, a chance for storms. Temperatures warming into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Going to be a hot one. Thank you, Devin. Well, there was a horrible situation last night on Green Lake in Dedham. That's where authorities are investigating a collision between a boat and a jet ski. The individual on the jet ski had serious injuries and had to be rescued in the water. Our reporter on the scene spoke with a family member of that man who says he had a badly injured arm and was transported by life flight to a local hospital. Officials say it was a complicated response.
We also then requested Eddington Fire to respond with a boat and Holden Fire to respond with a crew to assist us in trying to locate and get the gentleman from the water. There was some significant travel time for everybody involved, and the patient was on the other side of the lake, so that was also a hindrance in time.
According to Dedham Lucerne Fire Department, the individual was several hundred feet away from shore and received some medical attention in the water. They say the man was wearing a life jacket and it likely saved his life. The Maine Warden Service is now investigating the cause of that collision.
Well, meanwhile, multiple crews responded to a garage fire in Orrington yesterday. The call went out for a structure fire around 4:30 on Thursday afternoon at 630 Brewer Lake Road in Orrington. Officials say it was called in by a passerby. The fire reportedly damaged an attached garage, but did minimal damage to the rest of the home.
The crews were able to make an aggressive interior fire attack to contain the fire in the area of origin and extinguish all that fire. Yeah, certainly with the heat, it takes a lot out of the crew, but good training and good mutual aid allowed us to handle this.
Brewer, Holden, Dedham, Lucerne, and Orrington fire crews were all on the scene there. We are told neighbors safely removed the family dog from the home and no injuries were reported. The cause is currently under investigation.
The state's highest court has upheld the attempted murder conviction and life sentence of a Milford man who was convicted in 2025 of brutally beating and nearly killing his girlfriend with a hammer. Devon Carter was handed a life sentence for the 2023 beating of his then-girlfriend. He was ultimately shot by police. Carter had appealed to the Maine Supreme Judicial Court, arguing that the lower court had made a mistake when they waived his prior invocation of his rights and declined to suppress his statements. He also argued against the decision that evidence supporting a finding of extreme cruelty in his crime, that his sentence was not appropriate for his crime, and that the lower court mistakenly applied a trial penalty. The High Court ruled against them, though, and on all counts, and upheld his conviction and life sentence.
State overdose death data is sparking urgent warnings from local recovery advocates. While overall state data shows Maine is on track for a fourth consecutive annual decrease in fatal overdoses, some parts of Maine are actually seeing little to no improvement. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
Recovery advocates are sounding the alarm on the latest overdose death data from the state.
Just in the last 3 months, 16 people have died of an overdose just in Bangor.
The latest state monthly overdose report indicates the total number of confirmed and suspected fatal overdoses between January and June is 182. 23 of those deaths happened in Bangor.
While overdose deaths, thankfully, are dropping in Maine overall and in the nation, that's not happening here in Bangor and Penobscot County, and we're not talking about it nearly enough.
The data highlights that service hubs like Portland and Bangor have not seen an improvement in overdose mortality in the last 2 years.
It's not getting better. It's not getting remarkably worse. It's just stagnant, and we'd all like to really see those numbers improve.
Last year, Bangor recorded 35 suspected and confirmed fatal overdoses.
So the numbers and the data have continued to be concerning for us in this area.
Bangor health officials say the city continues to deploy its overdose response team and work with community partners to distribute the overdose reversal medication naloxone.
There's always things that can be improved, no doubt, but we also have to really think about the highest risk factors and how we can address those. Encouraging people to not use alone is one of those.
Advocates caution that a failure to spotlight the crisis could lead to a surge in deaths.
We need to let people know we care, and we need to let them know there are resources and that they should reach out because too many people are dying.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, multiple states have been hit by cyber attacks targeting water utilities. So local officials here are taking the threat seriously. Our Calvin White with that story.
Water treatment facilities across several states, most notably in Minnesota and Michigan, have been breached by hackers. In light of the attacks, local municipal water departments are making sure their systems are secured.
We've taken the steps to make sure we're safeguarded, and we've taken the steps to make sure if we think we are compromised, this is our action plan. We're being very proactive in it rather than it being a reactive situation.
According to the Brewer Water Department, the wave of cyber attacks pose serious threats to public drinking water. If breached, water plant workers can be locked out of their computers and be unable to control the plant. Once access to the plant is lost, hackers can infiltrate the programs and alter things such as chemical levels.
So that if they were able to get into your system, they could change your dosing as far as your chlorine, your fluoride, things like that. You could up it to a point where it'd be dangerous for people. So that's the kind of stuff we look out for.
At the Brewer Water Department, Superintendent Rodney Butler says they are keeping a close eye on the plant's system itself, but not fully relying on the technology to catch discrepancies.
Every 2 hours we're doing checks on stuff besides sitting at the SCADA system. We're physically going out through the plant and recording values and making sure that everything's what it should be.
Butler says this combination of workers observing the plant and staying on top of the system makes it harder for hackers to gain access to these vital utilities. In Brewer, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, in other news this morning, former Governor Paul LePage has scored a key endorsement for his congressional campaign. The National Rifle Association has officially endorsed Republican Paul LePage for Maine's 2nd Congressional District. The chairman of the NRA, Political Victory Fund, and executive director of the NRA Institute for Legislative Action broke the news at a campaign event in Holden on Thursday. He cited LePage's record of protecting the Second Amendment.
Governor LePage's record on the Second Amendment is impeccable. He has been a stalwart supporter of our members, of gun owners across Maine, and really stands for constitutional freedom. So the choice was really clear for us in this race.
LePage said if elected to Congress, he would seek to repeal any federal policy that does not align with the Second Amendment, and said he is not open to any compromises when it comes to gun rights.
I will defend the Second Amendment extremely, to the extreme. I do not believe that government is the answer. I think the Constitution gives us the ability to own and carry guns. I think we need to protect that, and I would fight against anyone trying to ban guns in the United States.
LePage also took aim at his Democratic opponent, Matt Dunlap's Second Amendment record, claiming Dunlap has been accepting funding from organizations that do not support the Second Amendment. A spokesperson for Dunlap's campaign said that Matt Dunlap is a Maine sportsman and a longtime supporter of the Second Amendment.
Well, independent candidate for governor Rick Bennett is calling for transparency in Maine's elections. At a gathering in Auburn yesterday, Bennett called on his opponents to disclose who is influencing their campaigns. Bennett said, quote, while Maine families are struggling with higher housing costs, higher energy bills, higher health care costs, and in a government that too often seems to work better for insiders than for the people, the political establishment is preparing to flood this election with outside money and hidden influence. So today I call on my opponents to do the right thing to help bring down the carnival of corruption that has infiltrated our politics, to help restore trust in government.
Well, Maine's community colleges are getting $5 million to boost the workforce in the state. The federal grant will provide specialized short-term training that prepares students for work at Maine's small and mid-sized manufacturers. A statement says that the funds will expand access to several classes, including fabrication, machining, welding, blueprint reading, and quality assurance. More than 600 students will get the no-cost training, which will be offered on a rolling basis approximately every 4 to 8 weeks.
Well, as another round of high heat settles over Maine, some of Bangor's most vulnerable residents are facing it with one less place to cool off. The closure of the Together Place has left questions about where people can turn when temperatures climb. Our Alex Schley with that story.
With temperatures climbing into the 90s, finding a place to cool off can be more than just a matter of comfort. For many, it can be a matter of health and safety. For years, the Together Place provided an indoor escape for residents from extreme heat. But after the nonprofit closed last week due to financial challenges, that resource is no longer available.
At Parks and Recreation, we have the Beth Pankow Aquatic Center here that we're at now. We're open 7 days a week with general swim, 1 to 4:30. We also have the Dakin Pool available, which is just off Stillwater Avenue on Pine Street. In addition to that, we put together a cooling station down the waterfront.
The cooling station is a large sprinkler that will remain running as long as the current stretch of hot weather continues.
It's really up to each local community to determine. It's the local emergency managers in collaboration with their municipal officials whether they open one up.
Officials say while many people associate cooling centers with those experiencing homelessness, they're also used for older adults, people with medical conditions, or anyone without access to air conditioning.
The big thing we're concerned about is those that are vulnerable, that maybe are shut-ins, that don't have anybody keeping an eye on them to make sure they're drinking water. Even a fan can help keep people cool. And knowing your limits, too, on what you can do for activities is a big thing.
We reached out to Bangor City Manager Carolyn Lear and the city's communication manager, David Warren, to ask how the city plans to address the loss of the Together Place as an indoor cooling option. Neither Lear nor Warren responded to our multiple attempts to contact them. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the state is currently taking new actions to fight fraud. We'll have the latest on that ahead.
But first, another look at that forecast. Today will be another hot one out there. Partly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms later on. High temperatures around 93 degrees. Mostly cloudy tonight with lows dropping down to the upper 60s. Tomorrow for your Saturday, showers and thunderstorms can be expected. High temperatures around 85. We'll be right back.
In the ICU, I've seen patients being bankrupted by the cost of care, and they're having to travel 3 and 4 hours to receive that care. This didn't just happen. Susan Collins voted to support Donald Trump on the largest Medicaid cut in history. Healthcare is getting even more expensive. People are losing coverage. Labor and delivery centers are closing. Hospitals are closing. We need to tell Susan Collins to stop siding with Donald Trump. We can't afford it.
For the best selection in classic and contemporary furnishings, stop by Richard Parks Furniture on High Street in Ellsworth. Handcrafted New England-made bedrooms and dining rooms, imported Scandinavian recliners and upholstery, more than 40 lines of furniture for the home and patio. Richard Parks Furniture is your #1 stop for quality, functionality, and well-designed furniture at affordable prices. Richard Parks Furniture.
Discover Richard Parks.
132 High Street in Ellsworth.
Discover Richard Parks.
Mr. Mackey, you want the engagement ring back?
Yes, please.
Ordinarily, I'm pretty sympathetic about those things.
The fight is on after their wedding is called off.
She sold the engagement ring because she didn't have the money to pay for expenses.
That's not her ring to sell.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, sir. You had money issues.
I was struggling.
She has workman comp fines for paying people under the table.
You have tax debts to the IRS.
Next, Judge Judy.
Friday at 5 on ABC 7.
A nurse at Maine Medical Center is no longer in ICE custody. Maine Health and the Maine State Nurses Association says that Deborah Capiscia was released from ICE custody on Thursday and is on her way back to Maine. She was taken into custody last week at Logan Airport in Boston. ICE says she arrived in the U.S. 2 years ago and didn't leave before her visa expired. The release follows a large rally held by the Nurses Association calling for her release. The Nurses Association is holding a news conference on Capiscia's release this morning in Portland.
Well, after months of federal scrutiny and a visit from an administrator of Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, Dr. Mehmet Oz, this week, Maine is now outlining a new action taken to fight fraud. Max Williams reports.
You know, I think it's too little too late.
Tonight, debate continues between state Republicans and Maine's Department of Health and Human Services over attempts to combat fraud.
In the department's blog post on Wednesday, they say in June, DHHS's fraud unit implemented 2 emergency provider terminations, imposed 5 provider payment suspensions based on credible allegations of fraud, and disenrolled 28 agencies that failed to submit a claim within 1 year of enrollment in MaineCare.
We followed up with DHHS today asking for the names of the 5 providers who had payments suspended. They say that list includes Gateway Community Services, Maine Connect Care, Trident Medical International, Decent Healthcare, and Community Home Healthcare. We also asked DHHS for the 2 providers who received terminations. They say those are Paradise Residential Services and Beyond Residential Care. DHHS says all providers are subject to an appeal process, which they say is currently underway.
Back to the blog post, DHHS says that they took enforcement action on 15 personal care agencies by issuing 6 conditional licenses, refused to renew 6 licenses, assessed financial penalties against 12 agencies, voided 1 incomplete license application, and referred 1 agency to law enforcement. DHHS says they also declined to renew the licenses of 2 mental health agencies that provide rehabilitative community services.
The post comes just 2 days after Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Administrator Dr. Oz visited Maine. He then mentioned Maine while speaking in Pennsylvania about potential fraud cases there.
Yesterday I was in Maine. We're investigating home support services.
That visit came 3 months after Vice President J.D. Vance stopped in Bangor for an anti-fraud rally.
Do you think that's interesting that they're now posting about this, given the federal government has made a few stops here in Maine?
Yeah, I think it's very telling, and they're trying to accuse the federal government of being political, but you can see it's the only thing that gets action from these people.
Republican House Minority Leader Billy Bob Falkingham has been calling on Maine Democrats to take fraud more seriously for months now.
It's just going to get to a point where Maine is going to just lose those federal dollars.
And that was Max Williams reporting. Well, meanwhile, Maine's credit unions have come together to help feed those who are facing food insecurity. Together, they raised $100,000 for Good Shepherd Food Bank through their 48 to Feed the State initiative. Elise Baldacci, president of the Maine Credit Union, says that the initiative is a powerful example of what makes the credit union movement so special. She says each individual contribution mattered, but together they created an impact that none of them could have achieved alone. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, what a great thing to do. They've been doing that for years, too. I think about all the hungry people they've fed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the time now is 6:19. After the break, President Trump signing new executive orders aimed at restricting birthright citizenship. That story coming up.
Plus, we'll hear from the Castine Harbor Master about their busy month of August. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Disturbing news about threats of violence against women. Is it Graham Plattner again? No, it's Troy Jackson. When a female legislator disagreed with Jackson, he threw a water bottle at her in anger. The woman was deeply frightened. Jackson was known for bullying, and his screaming felt like intentional intimidation. His brash conduct with women raised alarm bells about his temperament. Troy Jackson, another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular Infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
Welcome back, everyone. Castine's waterfront may be quiet in the winter months, but the same can be said when the calendar turns to August. Can't be said.
Our Doug Banks spoke with the town's harbor master to see how they're keeping up.
I pretty much know everybody in town and everybody knows me.
Thank you, Scott. You're welcome.
I think it's helpful to have that faith.
For the past 8 years, Scott Vogel has been the town of Castine's harbor master.
I was born in Castine 75 years ago, and I've been on the water ever since.
He says the coastal town becomes quiet over the winter, but once it's time to put the docks and dinghies in the water,
It's more fun.
he calls August their busiest time of the year, averaging around 25 to 30 landings per day. This year in particular, they've added semi-quincentennial events to their schedule, including recently hosting 3 large sailboats from Morocco and the Maine-built Harvey Gamage.
Castine's a pretty unique little harbor. We've got 200 and some boats in the harbor, and it's pretty full.
And that doesn't include their next-door neighbors, Maine Maritime Academy, where you'll find the historic Schooner Bowdoin and the state of Maine.
Incredible moment for Castine.
The Academy's new training vessel arrived at its home port last month, and it's considerably bigger than its predecessor. Vogel says that adjustment is going better than expected.
The stern of the ship is way further west than I thought it was going to be.
The orchestra of heavy machinery stems from construction on the new pier, which the Academy's president says is still on track to be completed next summer.
Well, Maine Maritime Academy Waterfront works in harmony with the town of Castine and the harbor master. We never missed a single day of marine operations while building that pier, and I don't believe the town did either, so it's a great concerted effort.
They've been very accommodating about everything they do down here.
Vogel credits his dockhands and the community that raised them with being able to keep up with the busy summer.
2 of the 3 guys that worked on the town crew were born and brought up here.
In Castine,
it's just a close-knit group.
Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, they've done a great job on that,
They really
that
have.
waterfront as well. They've had a lot of damage after those winter storms a couple of years ago, and it looks like a different place now.
It looks like a nice, beautiful area as well right there on the water.
Sure is.
Well, now let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Heat advisory up until 6 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. Here's the counties right here that will be dealing with higher temperatures today because of the heat and the humidity. As we do check things out, wave heights are very quiet, so no issues with the ocean ocean at this point. It might be a nice day to cool off along the ocean. Just be noteful of the cooler water temperatures. Wave heights cooler or lower, I should say, farther out towards sea at this point. Meanwhile, as we check everything out on land, we just have some clouds passing through from the southwest and going toward the north and to the east. Things are pretty quiet on land as we do push forward this morning. We'll have a chance for some showers and thunderstorms as we do push forward today. Notice just some clouds passing throughout the morning and for a good part of the afternoon period. Today we'll have a few storms developing. Later on tonight, most of the same, just a few storms possible. We'll have scattered showers and storms as we head towards your Saturday. You can see those right there, and continuing into parts of the evening and for a while during the overnight before they begin to back off. Notice some areas of dense fog possible as we head towards Saturday night into parts of Sunday morning. As we talk about the rainfall potential, it looks more like this. Some areas could see up to a ½ inch of rainfall before things begin to back off as we head towards your Monday, while other areas could see up to a ½ inch of rainfall. But otherwise, again, dew points will be getting up there, and that's why it will feel warmer than now. Look at the dew points between today and as we head towards at least Sunday. Upper 60s, lower 70s possible. That will feel oppressive out there. We'll start to go down parts of Sunday into Monday, going up briefly late Monday, then really going back down Tuesday and Wednesday. So for today, here we go. A chance for storms, partly cloudy, low 90s for the high, feeling warmer than now with that west wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By tonight, upper 60s, mostly cloudy, southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Chance for storms still not out of the question in a couple spots. For tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 80s for the high, and that south wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Showers and thunderstorms, upper 80s for the high. And then once we move forward for your Monday, partly cloudy with highs again in the mid 80s. And then Tuesday, chance for showers and thunderstorms with highs in the mid 80s.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Itchy eyes, persistent cough, headaches. Is it allergies or what? The answer may not be in your medicine cabinet. It could be hiding right here. Over time, your ductwork traps mold, bacteria, and allergens and recycles them through your home. Call the professionals at Penobscot Cleaning to clean and sanitize your entire system. We're the company contractors recommend. Call now and start breathing easy again.
I'm Jason Sear, owner of Penobscot Cleaning Services. 24/7, we're here for you.
Situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine lies Barren View Golf Course, a true links course that's a treat for golfers of all skill levels. We feature a driving range, putting green, practice sand trap, pro shop, and snack bar. Open 7 days a week. Please call ahead for a tee time.
Honey, where's the countertop?
I sent it out to the granite shop this morning to be replaced.
Wow.
The quickest turnaround in the business, the Granite Shop in Sedgwick.
12 of the world's greatest dancers will live together and compete for a spot in the world's biggest ballroom.
This is my moment for sure.
That could be on Dancing with the Stars tomorrow.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
President Trump is trying again to target birthright citizenship. This comes just 2 months after the Supreme Court struck down his first attempt. ABC's Karen Watt is in Washington with the details.
President Trump signing 2 new executive orders aimed at restricting birthright citizenship. Just 2 months ago, the Supreme Court rejected his first try, citing the 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to anyone born on American soil. One of Trump's new executive orders expands the category of those who would not be eligible for birthright citizenship.
That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments.
The second executive order targets so-called birth tourism.
The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen.
The ACLU says Trump's new executive orders are doomed to fail in court, just like the last time. Former U.S. Attorney Harry Litman agrees.
This first one just completely flies in the teeth of the Supreme Court order. It will not stand.
As for how the administration aims to enforce this, White House official Will Scharf says they will look heavily at denying visas to people they believe to be parents coming here for this purpose, and they plan to use law enforcement to target rings organizing birth tourism. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
Well, meanwhile, new concerns about contaminated food spreading and making more people sick. First, it was tainted lettuce, and now jalapeno peppers have sparked an outbreak of salmonella. Experts are trying to determine how this could be and should have been prevented. ABC's Morgan Norwood with more.
This morning, health officials in Michigan, the epicenter of the parasite outbreak linked to lettuce, say it's okay to eat bagged salad again. They say the contaminated produce is likely no longer available for consumption. But food safety attorney Bill Marler, who has litigated outbreaks for more than 30 years, says it should have never gotten this far.
This outbreak should have been, caught a month and a half ago.
And many Americans are still concerned. The salad chain Sweetgreen, which was never linked to the outbreak, just slashed its sales forecast for the year, blaming customers' fear of fresh produce. The company's stock plunging 15%. The recalled lettuce came from Taylor Farms and was grown and processed in central Mexico, where about 2/3 of America's imported vegetables come from. Marler says he's sued Taylor Farms before.
I've had several outbreaks linked to Cyclospora with them, E. coli, and so, I'm pretty familiar with them, and here we are again.
The company pointing to its own tests, which they say found no contamination. Marler believes the root of the problem is water quality.
Unpleasant as that may be to discuss right now, this outbreak is essentially human sewage getting into our lettuce.
Taylor Farms says it invests hundreds of millions of dollars a year in food safety and says its water sources are tested for indicator organisms. Meanwhile, authorities are now tracking a salmonella outbreak linked to jalapenos from Mexico, which were supplied to restaurants and food service companies by Coast Citrus distributors. Sweetgreen has now joined Chipotle and Qdoba, saying they have proactively removed the peppers. 375 people across 27 states have gotten sick. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
The question of whether artificial intelligence is helping or hurting the education system has become a growing debate among many students, parents, and teachers. As a new school year begins, the discussion about artificial intelligence is already part of the school day. Educators say that some students are using AI to complete assignments, and many teachers say that they use the technology to create lesson planning and, in some cases, even evaluate students' work. The concerns don't stop with those lesson plans as more schools looked to AI to detect cheating as well. Researchers say AI will continue to play a bigger role in education, which may start replacing the human connection between students and their teachers. Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, researchers at the College of Atlantic launched a study to track black bear patterns.
Well, that story and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Around here, you take pride in your home, and who you trust to work on it matters. That's why folks turn to AF&F Carpentry. From kitchens and custom woodwork to full home renovations, we bring military-grade discipline and focus to every project. Our work has been featured on Operation CEO. No shortcuts, no surprises, just solid craftsmanship you can count on. AF&F Carpentry, serving Maine homeowners with pride.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontes, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
The fun never stops at Wheel.
You got it! It's a goal! And the crowd goes wild. A truly historic bonus round on Wheel of Fortune. Somebody could win $500,000. Where are you going? To pass out. Exciting giveaways ahead, like fabulous vacations, and let's manifest another $1 million winner. You're a millionaire! Oh my God!
Weekdays at 7 on ABC 7. You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
And welcome back, everyone. Today is Friday, August 7th, 2026. This is also International Beer Day.
This holiday celebrates one of the world's oldest and most beloved beverages. Humans have been making and enjoying beer since the first grains were accidentally discovered to have fermented, and someone decided to give it a taste.
Somebody, you picture that. So you drink it.
Yeah,
no, you drink it. You know?
And beer has been consumed by almost every culture throughout history, with Americans drinking an estimated 6.2 billion gallons a year. You can celebrate by cracking open your favorite brew or head to your favorite watering hole.
And it's Friday, so why not?
It lands on a Friday. Isn't that perfect?
It's meant to be.
It is.
All right, time for some history. It was on this day back in 1606, William Shakespeare's famous play Macbeth was performed for the first time. I think he did it before King James I. In 1782, George Washington established the Badge of Military Merit, which was later known as the Purple Heart. 1789, the U.S. Department of War was established by Congress, and in 1989, the U.S. and other allies, it's not 1989, I think that should have been 39 or in the 40s anyway. I'll double check that.
Okay.
This is World War II we're talking about, not
in
1989.
1989.
The U.S. and other allies landed at Guadalcanal, marking the start of the first major Allied offensive in the Pacific during World War II. U.S. troops faced brutal jungle combat, torrential rain, severe hunger, tropical diseases, but it proved to be a decisive turning point in the Pacific War and shattered Japan's aura of invincibility.
And in 1974, French high wire artist Philippe Petit performed an unapproved tightrope walk between the two towers of the World Trade Center. He spent 8 months in New York secretly planning the rigging and using forged IDs to access the rooftop. He was later charged with trespassing and disorderly conduct, but the charges were dropped when Petit performed a free high wire show for children in Central Park.
How about that? Somebody did that on the, what was it?
Empire State Building.
They got engaged up there, right?
Yes, they climbed it. So I guess this is relatively similar.
Yeah.
In 1978, President Jimmy Carter declared the Love Canal in Niagara Falls, New York, was an environmental disaster and was federal health emergency. The chemical dump would later top the list of Superfund cleanup sites. And lastly, in 2007, San Francisco's Barry Bonds hit his 756th home run to break Hank Aaron's record.
Not without controversy, though.
Yes.
He was kind of accused of using performance-enhancing drugs, but still quite a feat. For birthdays today, they include actress Charlize Theron, who is 51, actor Michael Shannon, a really great actor, he is 52, and actor Wayne Knight, who may be best known as the character Newman on the show Seinfeld, is 71. Hello, Newman. Happy birthday to you, too, if your birthday's today. That's what Jerry used to say to him, yeah.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have heat advisories posted, and those will expire at around 6 o'clock tonight. We will have hot temperatures today, and feels like temperatures that will get even hotter than that. We'll have hot temperatures in the 90s today. And then heat index values that will be a few degrees warmer than that. As we check out the radar and satellite this morning, just some clouds passing through. We will be watching for showers and even some thunderstorms that will be developing today. As we do zoom things out, not a whole lot going on at this point, just some energy that will be tracking in from the southwest and going toward the north and east throughout the daytime period today. Futurecast showing some development coming up later on this morning and parts of the afternoon, more so as we head towards the afternoon. Later on tonight, we'll watch for some more development, and especially as we head towards your Saturday. Alrighty, for today, so we'll have a chance for thunderstorms. Otherwise, partly cloudy, low 90s for the high, and it will feel warmer than that with that west wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast pushing forward. All right, partly cloudy, a chance for storms. Temperatures warming into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
By the way, the Battle of Guadalcanal got underway in 1942.
Yeah, so we were a few years
yeah, it was off on that. I write these in the middle of the night, basically.
Pretty
so,
much.
Yeah.
Well, still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
Amazing, I can remember my name sometimes.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad. ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. A local golf course just celebrated its 100-year anniversary. Our Max Sturm has a story.
2026 marks the 100th anniversary of the Lucerne Golf Club in Denham, Maine, and it was celebrated with a commemorative tournament on Thursday.
You've got to take advantage and mark these milestones.
We just thought it would be a really neat thing to honor the course being around for 100 years.
A lot of history is packed into those 100 years. Current owners Matt Kirtland and Nora Gardner wanted to make sure that history was represented at the event.
When we decided to celebrate our 100-year anniversary here, including the history, was critical.
Former owner Roger Tracy, who bought and revitalized the course in 1992, received a call from general manager Michael Webb to come back and participate.
I was very honored. I have a lot of history with the course, and Mike called me, I don't know, a month or so ago and said what they were doing, and then it clicked. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad he asked me to come.
John McTague was asked to kick off the event with a ceremonial tee-off. For the 30-year employee, the course holds a lifetime of sentimental value.
I take the course like if it was my own. I've been a kid and played here. Yep, caddy. It's nice to see all the people here.
Even the history of the game itself was brought back to Lucerne.
I chased down this putter from 1925-26, and I figured, how fun would that be to play with a 100-year-old club on the 100th anniversary. It is just great.
Kirtland and Gardner purchased this historic golf course back in 2023, and their goal is now to make sure Lucerne is remembered in another 100 years.
The idea is to make this first a top 5 9-hole course for here at Lucerne in the state of Maine, and then ultimately to make it a top 10 9-hole course in the country.
So it's also great to see it kind of coming back to its glory.
In Dedham, Max Sturm, ABC7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Special stuff from John Matagan, special stuff from our Max Sturm as always. The Patriots putting a wrap on day 11 of training camp on Thursday, and things got chippy. Wide receiver A.J. Brown and cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who have had some spirited battles here in camp, got into a heated exchange and needed to be separated by teammates. After practice, Gonzo chalked it up as two great competitors going head-to-head.
He's a number 1 receiver in this league going up against a number 1 corner. I mean, that's how it's going to go. He's going to face corners like that are, gonna yap at him, gonna try to get in his head, and I'm going to face receivers like that are strong and come right back at me. So it's great work for the both of us.
The Boston Red Sox have not cooled off for a second, even after their 15-game win streak came to an end. In fact, they got another streak brewing coming into Thursday. Wednesday night's win marked their 7th in a row. Folks, on June 24th, the Red Sox were 14 games under 500. 42 days later, they are 11 games above it, which is the first team to do so in that short a span in franchise history. Just incredible stuff. Here's interim manager Chad Tracy on the team staying hot.
Really, really good baseball, and like I said it before the game, I mentioned everybody doing their job, and I mentioned when you get good starts, and in today's case, timely hits. Wilson started it with a grindy at bat in the first inning to throw a breaking ball out there in left center and get us on the board. We got 2 out hit from Durbin. We got another home run from Abreu. So we scored when we were supposed to, and our bullpen was lights out. So when you get that formula and everybody's doing their part, it's led to this.
NFL football was on television Thursday night as the NFL preseason kicked off with the Hall of Fame game, as it always does. It's just a taste, and we'll give one to you right now. The first touchdown of the year is Corey Kaner as he rushed it in from the 1-yard line. Then how about this for football being back? Check out the hit on this next play. Beck finds Brooks, and he is laid out, but hangs on to the football. That's about as a football play as it gets right there. Then it was the Panthers' turn. Haynes King finds Jasim Reed. And this one was a great Hall of Fame game, a little more high scoring than you would imagine and used to it being, but it was a beauty nonetheless. For now, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Shopped Label Shopper recently? Well, now's the time. The Summer Madness sale is happening now. Take an extra 50% off summer fashions. Stop in today and grab more for less at the Summer Madness sale. Label Shopper, great clothes, great prices.
For the best selection in classic and contemporary furnishings, stop by Richard Parks Furniture on High Street in Ellsworth. Handcrafted New England-made bedrooms and dining rooms, imported Scandinavian recliners and upholstery, more than 40 lines of furniture for the home and patio. Richard Parks Furniture is your #1 stop for quality, functionality, and well-designed furniture at affordable prices. Richard Parks Furniture.
Discover Richard Parks.
132 High Street in Ellsworth.
Discover Richard.
Your internet experience feels different, ultra reliable, lightning fast. With Fidium 100% fiber, everything you do online works exactly like it should.
Night, bud.
Zach, go to bed.
So is cable internet still slowing you down? Enough already. Fiber up to Fidium. Get a 2 gig plan for only $65 a month at FidiumFiber.com.
All across America.
Good morning. Good morning.
Wherever we are, it feels like home.
Man, it's good to be home.
GMA, it's an invitation to come together and brighten your morning.
Welcome back, everyone. Researchers from Bar Harbor have started a multi-year study to better understand black bears.
Our Sam Miller tells us the study covers more than just the bear necessities.
Amidst numerous sightings on Mount Desert Island in the past decade, researchers at the College of the Atlantic launched a study that focuses on the population, relationships, and movement patterns of black bears near Acadia National Park, and they've invited the public to help. The project aims to assess if there's a resident population of bears in the area and how they're using the land. The study is led by Dr. Brittany Slaybach, the Kim M. Wentworth Chair of Environmental Studies at COA. She says community engagement has been very successful and has contributed to their work.
We have over 50 bear sightings both in the park and outside of the park, so we really appreciate people reporting those. And that, again, it's helping us kind of make sense of, if we see something at a snare or we don't, and like where the bears are hanging out.
Slaybach and her team of student researchers use passive hair snares to collect DNA samples, consisting of barbed wire wrapped around numerous trees and covered in a scent lure. Curious bears may leave behind strands of hair, which allows researchers to extract DNA and get a better idea of how the bears interact with their environment. Slaybach says the study provides insight to the MDI bear population, which will be used to support public safety and park conservation.
Bears can get themselves into trouble sometimes, and we want to make sure that we're reducing conflict and keeping bears safe and keeping people safe. And so understanding what the population may look like on the island, transients versus residents, would really help us address management needs.
If you see a bear on your property or out in the wild, you can report it via email at mdibearproject@gmail.com. In Bar Harbor, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, now here's meteorologist Evan Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Heat advisory up until 6 p.m. as we head towards your Friday. Here's the counties right here that will be dealing with higher temperatures today because of the heat and the humidity. As we do check things out, wave heights are very quiet, so no issues with the ocean at this point. It might be a nice day to cool off along the ocean. Just be noteful of the cooler water temperatures. Wave heights cooler or lower, I should say, farther out towards sea at this point. Meanwhile, as we check everything out on land, we just have some clouds passing through from the southwest and going toward the north and to the east. Things are pretty quiet on land as we do push forward this morning. We'll have a chance for some showers and thunderstorms as we do push forward today. Notice just some clouds passing throughout the morning and for a good part of the afternoon period. Today we'll have a few storms developing. Later on tonight, most of the same, just a few storms possible. We'll have scattered showers and storms as we head towards your Saturday. You can see those right there and continuing into parts of the evening and for a while during the overnight before they begin to back off. Notice some areas of dense fog possible as we head towards Saturday night into parts of Sunday morning. As we talk about the rainfall potential, it looks more like this. Some areas could see up to a ½ inch of rainfall before things begin to back off as we head towards your Monday, while other areas could see up to a ½ inch of rainfall. But otherwise, again, dew points will be getting up there, and that's why it will feel warmer than now. Look at the dew points between today and as we head towards at least Sunday. Upper 60s, lower 70s possible. That will feel oppressive out there. We'll start to go down parts of Sunday into Monday, going up briefly late Monday, then really going back down Tuesday and Wednesday. So for today, here we go. A chance for storms, partly cloudy, low 90s for the high, feeling warmer than now with that west wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By tonight, upper 60s, mostly cloudy, southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Chance for storms still not out of the question in a couple spots. For tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 80s for the high, and that south wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Showers and thunderstorms, upper 80s for the high. And then once we move forward for your Monday, partly cloudy with highs again in the mid 80s. And then Tuesday, chance for showers and thunderstorms with highs in the mid 80s.
Imagine stepping onto your brand new deck, enjoying all the benefits of your expanded outdoor living space. Hammond Lumber Company can help turn that vision into reality. Visit any of Hammond's expansive showrooms and explore a world of possibilities. The timeless beauty of wood, the resilience of composite or affordable durable PVC. Railing options from traditional wood to sleek aluminum and contemporary cable railing. On-site consultation and delivery are available. Get started on your new deck when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I got hurt in this accident, and the insurance company isn't offering me nearly enough money.
If you've been hurt, you deserve to be free from your car accident problems, free from dealing with the insurance company, and free from your financial struggles. Call the Twos. It's free.
I made a free call to Lowry Law, and they got me $275,000. The Twos set me free.
I'm your go-to guy.
Ladies, a main adventure.
Wow, look at all these sneakers.
Brooks, New Balance,
Under Armour, Keds, Saucony.
Lots of sneakers for the entire family. Get ready for back to school. Get to Rennie's and get your sneakers.
The countdown to the Super Bowl is on, and GMA's road to the big game runs through all 32 teams. Now this morning, GMA's live from the Titans Nissan Stadium with superfans, cheerleaders, and a new Titan surprise you'll see first on GMA.
Splashed down in a Chicago river on Thursday. More than 90,000 rubber ducks were dropped into the river to race in the annual Chicago Ducky Derby, which raises money for the Special Olympics in Illinois. The ducks were poured into the river on the Columbus Drive Bridge and floated around for 15 minutes before a winner and runner-up were picked. Special Olympics Illinois helps athletes with disabilities and special needs compete across the state, and sponsoring a duck or pack of ducks supports the organization's and athletes' needs. So far, the Ducky Derby has raised more than $480,000.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a really unique way to do it, too.
Yeah.
Well, in California, some incarcerated juveniles have been released and returned to the wild, ways of living with full supervised approval. 3 orphaned raccoons were set free and have returned to natural habitats after being the first raccoons to graduate from San Diego Humane Society's new raccoon nursery in Ramona, California. The juvenile raccoon kits, as they are called, were part of the society's attempt to return creatures to the wild. They were brought to San Diego separately between May 18th and June 9th. Because they weren't able to be reared by their mother, they required specialized rehabilitation that supported development without human dependence. They were given a diet of rodents, birds, fish, eggs, insects, fruits, nuts, seeds, and vegetables, and then transitioned to pre-release enclosures to develop further. And finally, they were released together on July 31st at Mission Trails Regional Park in San Diego.
They look pretty happy, too.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
Thanks for being there, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
ABC 7, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue. Neighbors helping neighbors in all
Thinking of buying a used car? Be on the alert for the potential for fraud with private vehicle sales. Knowing the signs of fraud and doing your research can help ensure you get a good deal and not swindled. Before handing over your hard-earned cash, thoroughly research the vehicle's history. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Good morning, America. Meta facing nearly $1 billion in penalties. Are changes coming to Facebook and Instagram? The Lifeguard Championships.
More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, authorities are investigating a collision on Green Lake in Dedham between a boat and a jet ski. We'll have the latest coming up.
Plus, with the Together Place closing its doors, many unhoused individuals are now seeking alternate places to cool off this summer.
And Maine's credit unions are helping those facing food insecurity. We'll bring you that story as well.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. We'll have all the day's news coming up. But first, to check with that forecast, the weekend is finally upon us. Looking like today won't be bad. A little partly cloudy out there.
It'll still be nice and hot.
It's going to be a real hot day today.
Yep.
Unfortunately, though, it looks like some rain moving in just in time for the weekend.
It sure does. We'll turn things over to me.